I'm going to talk with you about case studies of responding to animal disasters. We'll consider Hurricane Sandy, the Joplin Tornado, and COVID-19. We'll review the preparedness, prevention, response, and recovery for emergencies affecting animals using One Welfare solutions. We'll plan for the whole family. Due to a massive hurricane, there is a flood. The water is full of toxic chemicals and septic overflow, so walking through it will be dangerous. The water is rising, but the authorities say that they will not let pets onto the rescue boats. The people won't evacuate without their pets because of the relationship that they have with them. Is this a One Welfare issue? We see that they have one dog and one cat. So who can help? Who should help? What would you do? So the people who could help might be animal control, Red Cross, emergency management, agriculture, universities, maybe it's veterinarians or humane groups or farmers or kennels. Maybe it's the fire department. You might also be working with the sheriff or police, public health department, some policymakers, maybe some politicians, and of course the pet owners. So it looks like this could be turning into something that could be useful if there was multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and interdisciplinary ways to work together. Let's watch this video.
That's okay. Well, there's a fun to do. That's what he's supposed to do. Okay, hold. You give us room. Hold. Keep out the pressure.
There are a lot of different people involved here with a lot of different skill sets. So why do we prepare for and respond to animal-related disasters? We want to facilitate a prompt, effective response because we know around 60% of households in the United States have at least one pet, probably two. We also want to educate the public. And most importantly, we want to decrease the health and safety threats to humans and animals when the environment becomes hazardous. We want to also minimize the economic impact of emergencies like this. We can provide safe shelter for pets during emergencies, and this also helps us decrease the spread of disease. So we minimize the animal and human suffering during emergencies by responding to disasters. Minimizing the safety risks for humans and animals through pet-friendly housing and evacuation plans makes a difference. And we know that the human-animal bond affects human behavior and animal behavior. So in 2012, we saw that Hurricane Sandy caused power outages and flooding in a few major cities. So we opened emergency sheltering that was co-located with the Red Cross because we had previous mass care planning efforts with them. So we told people that they could bring their pets to some of these human shelters. This would allow them to maintain their emotional connection with their pets. And it worked out pretty well. There was some difficulty, but it was okay. Not like Hurricane Katrina in 2005, where many, many people lost their lives and a lot of animals died too. This was because the authorities just wouldn't let pets onto the boats and buses. So what did we learn? We know that emergency management plans only work when people want to follow them. If people can't take their pets with them, they might choose to stay in the danger zone. So this man just lost everything in a tornado, but he still has his dog. If we can promise him that we'll take care of his pet so that he can go to the emergency human shelter, he can get some food and get some sleep. If we can house his pet, we can help maintain their relationship. They need each other, especially during this terrifying time. Their health and wellness will be supported if we can help by doing things like sheltering pets and caring for the whole family. The picture on the left shows what an emergency domestic pet shelter looks like. Using One Welfare approaches can create optimal well-being for the humans and the animals involved. Previous pictures were from the Joplin Tornado of 2011. An F5 tornado hit the town of Joplin, Missouri, and the entire town was devastated. The Joplin Humane and the ASPCA had set up emergency pet sheltering, and this was located right near the Joplin Humane's facility. There were warehouses available to be used. Emergency animal responders managed these warehouse shelters. There were 3 buildings that housed about 1,000 pets. Around 800 animals were adopted in July of 2011. And the reason this was so successful is that there were different people working together to do things like not only care for the animals, but also communicate with the public. So these positive welfare outcomes were because of public relations and communication solutions that were a one welfare solution. So early February, March of last year, we started to wonder, are we going to be seeing a zoonotic disaster? Are pets going to be getting sick? Will large amounts of people become hospitalized or ill? Will there be lots of pets that now need homes who are recently exposed to COVID-19? And also, what infection control procedures and emergency protocols and kennel plans are we really going to need? So here's the response that we did. So we looked at identifying kennels where we can create partnerships. We worked with our emergency management locally. I live in southeastern Pennsylvania, so this is for my region specifically. We identified ways that we could work safely in kennels if we needed to use them. So we came up with some protocols and some plans, and we also wondered how we were going to deal with the resource challenges of PPE. COVID-19 was really an economic disaster. We were seeing that human economic disruption causes vulnerability and food insecurity for pets and their owners. So were shelters going to be receiving more animals due to these economic hardships? So here's the response that we did. We created pet food donation channels and systems. We created new relationships with the human food pantries. And we also created relationships with those who are doing drive-through food donations. So we would come along behind them and provide pet food to people who are picking up food. The picture you see here is not from my region, but it looks exactly like what we were saying. And what's exciting about this is that a lot of these pet food pantry relationships are now going to continue and be sustainable even after this pandemic is gone. So we're seeing some resilience. So what's the common thread for all of these disasters? We know that the human-animal bond was certainly exposed. We know that there were plans for mass care. And we know that many animals got adopted. We also know that emergency managers and the government now better understand the importance for planning for the whole family. After Katrina, the United States passed a law for the transport of pets during disasters. And we also know that environmental damage, shared threats, and vector control is important. We need to look at the root causes for a lot of these disasters. And we also know that interdisciplinary solutions seem to be working. If we look at health, housing, behavior, mental health, and economics, these are all areas that we need to consider when we're looking at disaster response. And disaster response usually changes from what you think it's going to be when the disaster starts. So it's interesting to see how things just might end up. It could be unexpected. So what about future disasters? Are we going to see more natural pandemics or bad weather? Could climate change exacerbate this? What if the next influenza is truly a pandemic influenza? And what about terrorism? Could there be bioterror or agroterror? Do you know how to decontaminate a cow or save our crops or food supply from disruptions? What we do know is not all disasters will need a One Health approach, but many of them are really a natural fit for it because we use systems thinking and transdisciplinary solutions. So what can you do if you're interested in this? You can plan in advance so that you're ready to help others. If you and your pets are ready and prepared, you'll be able to go out and do all the things that need to be done to help other people and animals during disasters.